Hey guys, this is Lala Legacy, and welcome back to another episode of SeaBed. So, let's jump right back in. I checked in right before lockup time and crashed into bed as soon as I entered my room. I ended up sleeping until noon the next day. I woke up at one point, at my usual time, and thought about going to get breakfast, but ended up changing my mind and instead fell back to sleep. I had nothing to do in the morning anyway. After all, I'd already finished most of my work. When I opened my eyes, it was already past noon. I slowly climbed out of bed, got dressed, and left the hotel. I spotted a restaurant designed like a ship as I made my way through the shopping district. I decided to drop in and have lunch there. I killed some time by reading the newspaper and listened to the radio. A young man in a suit, and a middle-aged man wearing a knit cap entered the restaurant during that period. The young man finished the lunch he ordered and promptly left the restaurant. As for the man wearing the knit cap, he spent the afternoon reading a newspaper, leaving only when the sun began to set. When I was the only customer left, I spent some time having small talk with the waiter. After hearing the same story about the fishing grounds I'd heard from Takako the previous day, I finally left the restaurant myself, pocketing a box of matches they were handing out as an advertisement on my way out. I continued in the direction of the sea. As I walked along the long breakwater, I spotted some stairs leading down to the beach. A bit of sand found its way into my shoes as I got down, but I didn't mind. I spotted something shining in the sand. Picking it up, I realized it was the sea glass Takako showed me earlier. I looked around to find some other beads, green and blue, scattered all across the beach. Some of them had yet to get their edges fully chipped away by the sea. I picked one bead up and held it against the sun. It lit up in red. I felt like it'd be a waste to throw it away, so I slid it in my pocket. I walked along the beach until I reached the driftwood I'd previously only seen in the far distance when I began my journey. I glanced back at the town. The steps I took to the beach now looked tiny in the distance. I spent some time looking at the mountain, but I couldn't find the sanatorium. I lowered myself on the driftwood and watched the orange sunset for a while, giving my exhausted legs some time to rest. I prodded the sand with my heels, absent-mindedly digging a hole underneath myself. I pulled out a file from my bag and removed a couple of papers from it. It was the medical record I pocketed at the consultation room, along with the few pages that were torn from the notebook Takako mentioned. I removed the pages from the medical record with a paper-cutting knife I found at the hotel. I ran my eyes over all of them one last time. The first page had a date written in child's hand. Though it looked like a diary, the notebook went into detail about an illness and its treatment. It was a record of the first time I played doctor with Sachiko back in kindergarten. Below the text, there was a crayon picture of Nagasaki investigating Takako's belly. Looking at it always made me remember the good old days. I couldn't help but smile. I pulled out a matchbox from my pocket and lit up a match. The flame was quickly extinguished by the wind, but I managed to successfully light another one. I guided the little flame to the page. It spread against the white surface, burning the words in the picture. When it became too hot to hold, I let it fall into the hole I dug earlier. I burned one page after another. When I had only 2 pages left, I realized my hand had gotten transparent. It looked exactly like what happened to my friends back at the clinic. The orange light from the sun illuminated me like it did the sea glass mere moments before. I looked at my old friends in the picture that Takako said was empty. I remembered how she asked me what I was trying to do as I burned the last page. The only thing written on it was the phrase, "I'm sorry." It was the last thing Sachiko said to Takako, as well as one of the parts of her that I erased. I crossed my arms and watched the remnants of the page burn inside the hole. When everything turned to ash, I could feel myself getting lighter. I wasn't sure if it was my body or my mind, but it didn't feel as bad as I thought it would. After confirming that every page was burned beyond recognition, I threw the rest of the files in my bag into the campfire I made on the sand. I watched as the flames swallowed all the documents and the pictures attached to them. I stuck my hands in my pockets to realize I had sea glass in both of them. I took them out and compared the one I got from Takako to the one I found. The things sparkled in red, yellow, and blue, illuminating the sand below them. As the fire continued to soundlessly burn, I began to feel slightly lightheaded, almost as if I was somewhat tipsy. As an experiment, I tried remembering something old from the clinic. There was the little Sachiko, a rabbit, and a bear in the room. Sachiko was drawing a picture of everyone. Back in those days, Takako often came over to play as well. Although I could remember the rabbit and the bear, their names eluded me. That made me feel a bit sad. I lay down on the driftwood in case I might end up losing consciousness. As if to follow the course of the setting sun, I sluggishly began closing my eyelids and tried thinking about something pleasant. After a while, I lost the sensation of my body. Hibiki. Her voice reverberated in my head like a bubble rising from the ocean. I can't sleep. I heard the sound of rustling clothes along with the young Sachiko's voice. You'll fall asleep sooner or later if you keep your eyes closed. It's boring to stay still. Just pretend you're fishing. I've never fished in my life. Try imagining you're floating in the middle of the sea under the moonlight. How far is that from land? Very far. But you won't sink, so you have nothing to worry about. And what then? I floated in the middle of the ocean, swaying in the waves like a fishing rod's string as you watch the night sky. The sky above was without clouds, allowing a clear view of the moon and the stars. The calm water reflected the stars, making me feel almost like I was floating in outer space. What then? You can watch the stars. Huh? That's it? If I do that for long enough, a large fish will eventually rise from the depths and swim by my back over and over again. And then she'll open its big mouth and swallow me whole. And at that point, you'll already be asleep. After a few moments, the characteristically rhythmic breathing of undisturbed sleep reached my ears. The calm waves caressed my cheeks as I floated in the darkness. I could already feel the presence of a big fish underneath me. I was then swallowed by the waves. I started to feel cold as I descended into the bottomless void. I could no longer move. I felt neither my eyes nor my fingers. I simply kept sinking deeper and deeper. I was going down to the very bottom. Hibiki. I opened my eyes, reacting to that small, high-pitched voice. The dark waves drew away from me, and before I knew it, I was back on the beach again. A small girl ran towards me, seizing my shoulders. She lifted my upper body from the driftwood. I finally found you! What? The young Sachiko was looking straight at me. What are you doing here? I was looking for you. Takako told me everything. I see. My head hurt a little as I turned my neck. That's because you slept in a weird place like this. said Sachiko upon noticing me wince. Sachiko took my hand as I stood up and brushed the sand off my hair and clothes. It'll be dark soon, we've got to hurry! I shook my still drowsy head and looked at her. She pulled me forward. I guess. Let's go. What? What kind of patient did you cure this time? Oh, I'll tell you once we get back to the clinic. We should grab something to eat on our way back. That sounds good. I'd like some crepes. You okay with the usual stand by the station? Of course. Let's go then. Yes. Literally in shock. What? I'm not bothering you, am I? Tell me if I am and I'll go straight to my hotel right away. Nanai fixed her slightly disheveled hair with one hand as she sat on the sofa in the reception room. Fumi brought a tray with tea and snacks and began lining them up on the table. Aww. She made a friendly smile when Nanai greeted her, then returned to the office. Was that Miss Fumi? She cast a wary look at the door through which Fumi left. I nodded. I said I had time on weekends, but I didn't expect you to come so early. Your office was next to the station, so I figured I'd drop by on my way to the hotel. I wanted to see where you work. I would have come to meet you if you had told me. Nah, I already feel plenty awkward for bothering you at work. Oh, this is Monaka, isn't it? And with rice cake, too. I love these things. Nanai tore the wrapping off one of the snacks Fumi brought and began happily chewing on it. As she finished one, she began opening another. Her eyes wandered to the poster on the wall opposite of her. Did you draw that? Yes. The other one was done by one of my coworkers, though. Are those your posters too? Can I have a look? She pointed at a rolled-up poster lying on the cabinet. If you want to. Whoa! Some of these are pretty darn cool! I really like this one. She showed me a blue poster with dolphins and coral reefs in the background. How long does it take to make one? About a week. I see. Your job sounds kinda hard. I can't deny that, but I like it. Ever since I was little, I've never been good at art. I liked to draw, but it all looked like crap. So it feels kind of overwhelming to meet a person who can actually create something of actual worth. Only a handful of things are really worth anything, though. Really? For example? I'm not sure, but in my case, only the time I spent with her remains forever ingrained in my mind. It fills me with strength no matter how tough things get. It helped me find the correct path in life, so next time I want to convey these feelings and be the one to support someone else. I see. Nanai pulled out a few pamphlets from her bag. Many of them had scenic pictures, the kind you'd usually see at tourism agencies. Hey, I've never really been here before, so do you think you could show me around a bit over the weekend? I picked up one of the pamphlets and briefly inspected it. I doubt I'll have time for everything listed in here. What would you recommend then? How about this? I mixed in with all the pamphlets describing local areas. There was one with overseas destinations. I'm going overseas again next week to pick up some new furniture. A cruise along the Mediterranean Sea? How long of a trip are we talking about? Should take about a month, I'd say. And what about with your inn? It's not like we get many guests anyways. Auntie can handle it by herself. If I find an interesting postcard, I'll make sure to send it to you. I'd prefer something with beautiful scenery. I was just thinking about changing the postcards I have framed above my sink. The ship behind me sounded as a horn as I shook Sanai's hand. Well then, I'll see you sometime later, I guess. The clerk responsible for the gates urged me to board. I'm sorry. May you have a good trip. I handed him my ticket and ascended the deck, or to the deck. Oh! A shame Kozue didn't come to see us off. I turned to Mayuko, who stood by me on the ship. Well, it's not like we're going to be away for that long. I suppose so. We walked along the deck, watching the receding port town. Isn't that our sanatorium? I honestly doubt you can see it from here. No, that's definitely it. Look, there's the red building over there. I can't see anything. I'm pretty sure it's there. We should contact the others the night we come back and tell them to turn on all the lights. That way we'll be able to judge whether or not it's really there, I'm sure. I really doubt Kozue would want to do all that for a stupid thing like this. I guess so. Still, this whole business about the trip coming out of nowhere from you, said Mayuko, holding down her hair. Well, we made a promise, didn't we? What promise? A fierce wind blew across the deck, drowning out our voices. Don't think this will be the last place I'll take you to. I almost cannot wait. Oh, they're both happy in their respective worlds. Oh, I'm crying. That was it. That was the end. Oh, you guys. Oh, that was so pretty. This was such a long journey to finish this game, but I'm so glad that I stuck with it. Oh, I'm literally crying right now. I can't. This game really hit home. And I'm sorry if it's or that it's lagging a little bit. I don't know why it is. But, oh my god. This game was so beautiful. Like, I'm speechless. The ending was so satisfying too, because they got to actually talk with each other one last time. And they got that closure that the both of them needed, even though Takako was obviously like dead and gone and whatnot. Wait, does that mean that Narasaki was actually like some sort of like angel or something that was there to like bridge the gap between their two worlds so that way they could get that closure? Oh man. I'm sorry guys, I am speechless. This was such an amazing story and an amazing game. Just the fact that what's her face? Kozue! Just the fact that Kozue was like younger Sachiko, and Takako saw her as that, but then, wait, does that mean that Sachiko had been in that world before? Like, at, at the hotel because she saw Kozue too. There must have been like a weak point in the veil, and she was able to see a part of what Takako saw. Oh man. Because they were in the same place at the same time, just different, like, I guess, worlds or whatever you want to call it. But this was so good. I enjoyed this immensely. Immensely! And you know what? We're gonna go see these tips right now. We are gonna go and do that because this is the final episode. So I am going to go through everything that we have left to go through. This is gonna be a long-ass episode, guys. And I don't care. Okay. Here we go. Oh, so sorry about... Oh, cute! I switched the tongs to my left hand and brushed the sweat off my forehead with my right. The vast blue sea extended under the blue sky as far as the eye could see. I could feel the fierce sunlight and the heat of the reddening charcoal against my skin. Is it working? Mayuko took a peek inside the grill. The charcoal's finally starting to glow, I said as I continued to fan the thing. Do you want to try cooking something? Mayuko picked up one of the boiled corns we brought with us. I think we need more charcoal. The last time I tried this, it went out right away. Is it really the charcoal to blame, though? Sanai's grill is working. It's working just fine. Sanai decided to be our chef for the day and started cooking rice at a canteen a bit further away. Huh? Seriously? I turned around, my eyes meeting Sanai's. Is something wrong? You're using the same charcoal as me, right? I think so. I took it from there. She pointed at the charcoal bag by the cooler box. That really is the same one. Then maybe the top got moist or something. Nagasaki did the charcoal part for me, so maybe she knows how it works. When I returned to our bags to get some fresh charcoal and fire starter, Nagasaki and Kozue passed by me. The former was pulling the hand of the latter. Where are you taking me? Seems like it's going to take more time, so let's go for a quick swim in the meantime. I glanced over my shoulder and saw that the table we asked Kozue to handle had already been neatly set. The cups on the table even had our names on them. You can go if you want, but it'd be nice if you could prepare the kebabs while I try to figure out how to get this fire started. I took out a skewer from the cooling box and showed it to them. The meat and vegetables are with Mayuko. Okay, fine, said Kozue, taking the skewer from me. I asked Nagasaki to help me with the grill. When Nagasaki rearranged the charcoal, it lit up in seconds. I see, so it's better to stack them vertically. Heat always rises up, so it's best to arrange the charcoal in a way it makes it easiest for it to travel. If you do it well enough, you don't even need to fan it. You're pretty knowledgeable about this stuff. I read about it in some book. I lined up the charcoal so I could better control the flame. Then put a wire gauze on the grill and tried grilling one piece of meat. I could hear it sizzle. Oh, I let out an excited shout. I glanced at Mayuko and Kozue preparing the kebabs. The grill is ready! Mayuko nodded. She and Kozue then brought over the skewers. Sanai approached us as well, eager to watch. Well, let's start cooking then. Hey, wait a second! While I was contemplating how best to order the skewers on the grill to get them evenly roasted, Kozue began grilling her kebab by herself. What do you want? Just so you know, there's an unwritten rule in these parts that seniors get the first bite while the youngsters wait for their turn, so... Hey, are you even listening to me? Kozue put another kebab on the grill while I was talking. I prepared one for everyone. This one's Mayuko's, and those are Narasaki's and Sanai's. This one is yours. By the time she finished, 5 kebabs had already been placed on the grill. They all had bite-sized pieces of sweet pepper, shiitake mushrooms, onions, chicken, and paprika skewered on them. They all seemed to follow the same order, looking pretty colorful and nice. Now we're talking, Narasaki exclaimed. Kozue's kebab, still on the wire gauze, looked and sounded amazing. Am I imagining this, or is there almost no meat on my kebab compared to the others? I put the same amount on all of them. Did you season them? Yes, with salt and pepper, said Mayuko. Narasaki asked what everyone wanted to drink, then moved to the table and filled all our cups before bringing them back to us. After confirming it was cooked just right, I picked up my kebab. I gave everyone an eye signal and raised a toast. I bought these kebabs purely on a whim during a shopping trip, but it turned out to be a good decision. They tasted really good. After finishing my first one, I started putting one ingredient after another on my skewer pretty much randomly, eating as much as I could. The cheese fondue Mayuko made was also delicious. Out of nowhere, she placed some camembert, I don't know what that is, cheese on an aluminum foil and melted it above the grill. I figured it was safe to call my first barbecue party in a long while a resounding success. The meat's done! I had long since lost count of how many plates I sent to the others. When I was about to offer Mayuko another plate, she refused, claiming she'd already eaten more than enough. The plate in Sanai's hand still looked almost completely packed with food. Kozue refused to eat anything after filling herself with cheese fondue, and was already on her way to the beach with Narasaki for another swim. She must have taken a liking to being pulled around on her floating ring. I played with her too, but ended up pulling her too far from the shore and we got swept away by a huge wave. Getting back to shore was quite the adventure. After that, she never let me near her floating ring ever again. Well, I guess I'll just have to eat the rest on my own then. I moved the onion and chicken to my own plate. Okay, that was really, 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 really sweet. A really sweet way to end this whole series. So, if you guys liked it, please give it a big thumbs up down below. Oh, wait a second. We're not done! Okay, we're not done. Hold on. Aww. I ate too much. I got a little carried away this time. The feeling of bitter regret made me remember the few times I visited an all-you-can-eat restaurant. I seriously overestimated my poor stomach's capacity. Are you okay? Mayuko brought me a drink. I'm feeling better. I took a sip of the water bottle she handed to me. I really was feeling better now, just like I'd said. Still, it didn't seem like I'd be able to do any swimming today. Where are all the others? At the beach playing. I glanced towards the shoal in the distance and could make out 3 figures playing volleyball at the beach, with what looked like my ball. They seem to be having fun. Mayuko smiled. Too bad you can't join them, huh? I'm just glad they get to enjoy this at least. Coming to the sea this year was a good idea. I nodded in agreement. Overseas trips are great, but sometimes the coolest places can be found right under your nose. I spent a few minutes gazing at the sea with Mayuko, then slowly stood up. Where are you going? Just for a walk. I feel like it might help my stomach. Want to join me? I'll look after the bags here. Okay. Anyway, I'll be off then. I began walking towards the shoreline. The soothing sough of the waves and the pleasantly light breeze made me forget the heaviness in my stomach. It didn't take long to reach the end of the small beach. It was cut off by the protruding cape, forming a small cliff. The shallow reef at its bottom seemed to have continued all the way to the opposite shore. I looked behind me, but Mayuko and the others were too far away for me to make out. Overtaken by a sudden adventurous impulse, I climbed down the little cliff and continued down the shallow reef toward the other side. The path grew wider the further I went. As I closed in on the cape, the waves began beating against it, splashed against my face. I gazed at the sea from that position. There was not a single soul in sight. I braced myself for another splash in the face, but no other big wave seemed to be coming. The only thing caressing my cheeks was the calm sea breeze. Suddenly, I felt like I spotted someone on the other side of the cape. My heart skipped a beat when I saw the person in question. Sachiko? It is! No, I'm gonna start crying! A moment later, the person had already vanished. I blinked a few times. Must have been my eyes playing tricks on me. After spending some time gazing at the beautiful scenery, I decided to make my way back to the others. Sachiko would eventually come here. And when she did, I had to be ready. After all, she did this all for me. What? Well, that was it. Yeah, that was it. So, thank you guys so much. And if you loved this series just as much as I freaking did, because my heart is so full, I can't. This game really hit home, like really hard for me. And I absolutely loved it. So, thank you guys so much. And if you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up down below. And if you haven't already, subscribe. By subscribing, you're becoming part of a legacy. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!